This is question number 271 of the series. Which of the following options are AWS Cloud Adoption Framework Security Perspective capabilities? You need to choose two options. And your options are infrastructure protection, incident and problem management, observability, availability and continuity, incident response. The AWS Cloud Adoption Framework, also called as AWS CAF Security Perspective capabilities, include infrastructure protection and incident response. Infrastructure protection capability focuses on securing the underlying infrastructure, including networks, servers, and other resources. Whereas incident response capability involves responding to security incidents and managing the aftermath of a security breach. Question number 272 of the series. A company plans to migrate to the AWS cloud. The company wants to use the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework to define and track business outcomes as part of its cloud transformation journey. Which AWS CAF governance perspective capabilities will meet these requirements? Your options are cloud financial management, risk management, benefits management, and application portfolio management. The correct answer here is benefits management. This capability focuses on defining, tracking, and realizing the business benefits associated with cloud adoption. Let's look at next question. A company wants to modernize and convert a monolithic application into microservices. The company wants to move the application to AWS. Which migration strategy should the company use? Your options are rehost, repurchase, refactor, replatform. You'll have to refactor the code in this case to convert a monolithic application into microservices. Question number 274. Which AWS service enables users to check for vulnerabilities on Amazon EC2 instances by using predefined assessment templates? Your options are AWS Shield, AWS WAF, AWS Trusted Advisor, and AWS Inspector. Amazon Inspector helps you improve the security and compliance of your applications deployed on AWS by performing assessments of your applications for vulnerabilities or deviations from best practices. It provides predefined assessment templates for common use cases. Let's look at next question. A company that uses AWS needs to transfer 2 terabytes of data. Which type of transfer of the data would result in no cost for the company? Your options being inbound data transfer from the internet, outbound data transfer to the internet, data transfer between AWS regions, data transfer between availability zones. There is no charge for inbound data transfer across all services in all regions in AWS. So the correct answer is option A, inbound data transfer from the internet. Next question. A company wants to create Amazon QuickSight dashboards every week by using its billing data. Which AWS feature or tool can the company use to meet these requirements? Your options are AWS Cost Explorer, AWS Budgets, AWS Cost Anomaly Detection, AWS Cost and Usage Report. In QuickSight, you can group and display data by any of the more than 90 fields included in the AWS Cost and Usage Report. So the correct answer is option D, AWS Cost and Usage Report. Let's look at why other options are incorrect. So AWS Cost Explorer is a tool for visualizing and analyzing your AWS costs, but it is not designed for creating dashboards or reports on a recurring basis. It is more of an interactive tools for ad hoc analysis. Now, option B, AWS budgets help you set custom costs and usage budgets that alert you when you exceed your thresholds. While it's useful for monitoring and controlling costs, it doesn't provide detailed data for creating dashboards, which is why this is not a correct option here. Now, the third option, which is option C, AWS cost anomaly detection, is a feature that helps you detect unusual spending patterns, but it is more focused on identifying anomalies rather than providing detailed data for dashboard creation. So folks, I hope you now understand why option D, AWS cost and usage reports, is the correct answer in this case. If you still have any doubts, please post your comments in the comments section and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Let's look at question number 277 of the series. A company wants to migrate to AWS and use the same security software it uses on premises. The security software vendor offers its security software as a service on AWS. Where can the company purchase the security solution? Your options are AWS Support Center, AWS Marketplace, AWS Management Console, AWS Partner Solutions Finder. The company can purchase the security solution from the AWS Marketplace. AWS Marketplace is an online store that offers a wide range of software solutions, including security software provided by various vendors. It allows customers to find, buy, and immediately start using softwares and services on the AWS cloud. So if the security software vendor offers its solution as a service on AWS, it would typically be listed on the AWS Marketplace and the company can make the purchase from there. Next question. A company has a fleet of cargo ships. The cargo ships have sensors that collect data at sea where there is intermittent or no internet connectivity. The company needs to collect, format, and process the data at sea and move the data to AWS later. Which AWS service should the company use to meet these requirements? Your options being Amazon Lightsail, AWS Storage Gateway, AWS Snowball Edge, and AWS IoT Core. To meet the requirements of collecting, formatting, and processing data at sea with intermittent or no internet connectivity and then moving the data to AWS later, the company should use AWS Snowball Edge. AWS Snowball Edge is a service that allows you to transfer large amounts of data into and out of the AWS cloud. It is particularly designed for scenarios where internet connectivity is limited or inconsistent. Snowball Edge devices are rugged and portable, making them suitable for use in environments like cargo ships. Question number 279 of the series. A user is moving a workload from a local data center to an architecture that is distributed between the local data center and the AWS cloud. Which type of migration is this? Your options are on-premise to cloud native, hybrid to cloud native, on-premises to hybrid, cloud native to hybrid. The type of migration described where a user is moving a workload from a local data center to an architecture that is distributed between the local data center and the AWS cloud is referred to as on-premise to hybrid migration. So folks, I hope you now understand what sort of migration is being talked about here. If you are still confused between different type of the cloud strategies available, then there is different content available on the channel to understand more about these things in details. So go through the links. Let's look at question number 280 of the series. Which of the following tasks are customer responsibilities according to AWS shared responsibility model? You need to choose two options here. Determine which availability zone to use for Amazon S3 buckets. Select Amazon EC2 instances to run AWS Lambda on, patch or upgrade Amazon DynamoDB, configure the AWS provided security group firewall, classify company assets in the AWS cloud. And the correct answers are option B and option D, which is configure the AWS provided security group firewall and classify company assets in the AWS cloud. Next question. A company needs to deliver new website features quickly in an iterative manner to minimize the time to market. Which AWS cloud concept does this requirement represent? Your options are reliability, high availability, elasticity, agility. The requirement to deliver new website features quickly in an iterative manner to minimize the time to market aligns with the AWS cloud concept of agility. Agility is the context of cloud computing, refers to the ability to quickly and easily adapt to changing requirements, innovate rapidly, and release new features or applications in a timely manner. It emphasizes the speed and flexibility of development and deployment process, allowing businesses to respond quickly to market demands. So folks, you would be familiar with this if you work in an agile environment where you work in sprints and try to deliver things as quickly as possible. This is what agility is all about. Let's look at next question. A company has multiple applications and is now building a new multi-tier application. The company will host the new application on Amazon EC2 instances. The company wants the network routing and traffic between the various applications to follow the security principle of least privilege. Which AWS service or feature should the company use to enforce this principle? Your options are AWS Shield, AWS Global Accelerator, Security Groups, AWS Direct Connect Gateway. The company should use security groups in this case, as they act as virtual firewalls for Amazon EC2 instances, controlling inbound and outbound traffic at the instance level. By configuring security groups appropriately, the company can define rules that allow only necessary and explicitly permitted traffic between different tiers of the multi-tier application. Question number 283 of the series. A company's web application requires AWS credentials and authorizations to use an AWS service. Which IAM entity should the company use as best practice? Your options are IAM role, IAM user, IAM group, IAM MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. For providing AWS credentials and authorizations to a web application, the company should use IAM role. Let's look at next question, folks. A company is creating a document that defines the operating system patch routines for all the company's systems. Which AWS resources should the company include in this document? You need to choose two options again. Your options are AWS Fargate tasks, AWS Lambda functions, AWS Amazon EC2 instances, Amazon ECS instances, Amazon RDS instances. In the document defining the operating system patch routine for all the company's systems, the company should include information related to Amazon EC2 instances and Amazon RDS instances. EC2 instances are virtual servers in the AWS cloud, and they typically run operating systems. Managing the patch routine for EC2 instance is a critical aspect of maintaining the security and reliability of the system, folks. RDS, which is also called as Relational Database Service instances, also run on virtual servers, and they require proper patching for the underlying operating system as well as the database engine to ensure security and performance. So folks, I hope you now understand why Amazon EC2 instances and Amazon RDS instances are the correct options in this case. If you still have any doubts, as always, please post them in the comment section. Question number 285. A company is required to store its data close to its primary users. Which benefit of the AWS cloud supports this requirement? Your options are security, global footprint, elasticity, high availability. The benefit of the AWS cloud that supports the requirement of storing data close to its primary users is global footprint. AWS offers a global network of data centers and regions, allowing companies to deploy resources and store data in geographic locations that are closer to their end users. This helps in reducing latency and improving the overall performance of applications for users located in specific regions. This is question 286 of the series. A company needs an Amazon EC2 instance for a right-sized database server that must run constantly for 1 year. Which EC2 instance purchasing option will meet these requirements most cost effectively? Your options are spot instance, on-demand instance, convertible reserved instance, standard reserved instance. First keyword in this question is run constantly for 1 year, which means there can't be any outage. So we can safely rule out option A, spot instances. Now the second keyword of the question is cost effectively. So we can rule out option B, on-demand instances, as reserved instances offer more discounts, making them cheaper than on-demand instances. Now among the remaining two options, standard reserved instances offer more discounts as compared to convertible reserved instances. So option D is the correct choice in this case. A company would like to host its MySQL database on AWS and maintain full control over the operating system, database installation, and configuration. Which AWS service should the company use to host the databases? And the choices are among Amazon EC2, Amazon RDS, Amazon Aurora, Amazon DynamoDB. Key to answer this question is that companies looking to have full control over the underlying infrastructure, which means any managed service is not a right choice here. So we will rule out option B, C, and D, which leaves us with option A, Amazon EC2, which is the correct choice in this case. So folks, it is very important, as I always say, to find the keywords in the question, and it makes it easy to answer. Let's look at question number 288 of the series. A company plans to use an Amazon Snowball Edge device to transfer files to the AWS cloud. Which activities related to a Snowball Edge device are available to the company at no cost? Your options being the transfer of data out of Amazon S3 and to the Snowball Edge appliance, the transfer of data from the Snowball Edge appliance into Amazon S3, daily use of Snowball Edge appliance after 10 days, use of the Snowball Edge appliance for a 10-day period. With AWS Snowball, you pay only for your use of the device and for data transfer out of AWS. Data transfer out of Amazon S3 is priced by region, and data transfer into Amazon S3 is $0 per GB, which means the correct option is option B. The transfer of data from the Snowball Edge appliance into Amazon S3 is the option, which is the activity which the company can perform at no cost. So folks, there is a link on your screen at the moment. If you are interested in reading more about pricing related to Snowball, then browse through the link. Next question. A company is running a monolithic on-premise application that doesn't scale and is difficult to maintain. The company has a plan to migrate the application to AWS and divide the application into microservices. Which best practice of the AWS Well-Architected Framework is the company following with this plan? And the option given are use automation to deploy changes, integrate functional testing as part of AWS deployment, deploy the application to multiple locations, implement loosely coupled dependencies. Whenever there is a talk about migrating a monolithic application to cloud, then you should look for loosely coupled microservices in the answers. And here the option D states implement loosely coupled dependencies, which is the correct answer here. A company has a centralized group of users with large file storage requirements that have exceeded the space available on-premise. The company wants to extend its file storage capabilities for this group while retaining the performance benefit of sharing content locally. What is the most operationally efficient AWS solution for this scenario? And your options are configure and deploy an Amazon storage gateway, file gateway, connect each user's workstation to the file gateway, create an Amazon S3 bucket for each user, mount each bucket by using an S3 file system mounting utility, deploy an Amazon EC2 instance and attach an Amazon Elastic Block Store provisioned IOPS volume, share the EBS volume directly with the users, and the final option is mount each user's working environment to Amazon Workspaces, set up an Amazon WorkDocs account for each user. So folks, the key to answer this question again is you need to maintain the performance benefit and you need to choose a solution which is most operationally efficient. And the correct answer here would be configure and deploy an AWS storage gateway, file gateway, and then you connect each user's workstation to the file gateway. Question number 291 of the series. How does AWS cloud computing help businesses reduce costs? You need to choose two options here. AWS charges the same price for services in every AWS region. AWS offers discounts for Amazon EC2 instances that remain idle for more than 1 week. AWS eliminates many of the costs of building and maintaining on-premise data centers. AWS enables capacity to be adjusted on demand. AWS doesn't charge for data sent from the AWS cloud to the internet. And the correct options are now on your screen. AWS eliminates many of the costs of building and maintaining on-premise data centers, and AWS enables capacity to be adjusted on demand. A company needs to quickly and securely move files over long distances between its clients and an Amazon S3 bucket. Which S3 feature will meet this requirement? Your options are S3 versioning, S3 ACLs, S3 intelligent tiering, S3 transfer acceleration. For quickly and securely moving files over long distances between clients and an Amazon S3 bucket, the most suitable feature would be S3 transfer acceleration. S3 transfer acceleration utilizes Amazon CloudFront's globally distributed edge locations to accelerate the upload of files to an S3 bucket. This feature helps overcome the challenges of transferring large files over long distances by optimizing the transfer speed. Instead of clients uploading files directly to the S3 bucket, they can use a unique endpoint provided by S3 transfer acceleration. This endpoint leverages Amazon CloudFront's content delivery network to accelerate the upload process. So folks, I hope you now understand why S3 transfer acceleration is the correct option here. If you still have any doubts, then post them in the comment section and I'll address them as soon as possible. Let's look at next question. What is the customer always responsible for managing according to the AWS shared responsibility model? Your options are networking, customer data, encryption keys, software licenses. Customers are always responsible for managing their data, classifying their assets, and using IAM role to apply the appropriate permissions. Question number 294. A company has an Amazon EC2 instance in a private subnet. The company wants to initiate a connection to the internet to pull operating system updates while preventing traffic from the internet from accessing the EC2 instance. Which AWS service will allow you to implement this? So folks, the company is trying to initiate a connection to internet to pull the operating systems while they also want to ensure that the internet traffic cannot access the EC2 instances. And your options are VPC endpoint, VPC peering, NAT gateway, Amazon private link. To enable the Amazon EC2 instances in a private subnet to initiate a connection to the internet for operating system updates while preventing inbound traffic from the internet, you should use a NAT gateway, which is Network Address Translation Gateway. It enables instances in a private subnet to connect to the internet, but prevents inbound traffic initiated by the internet from reaching those instances, which is what the requirement of the question. It allows outbound communication from your private subnet to the internet while keeping your instances in the private subnet secure. Now, the other options, VPC endpoints, allows you to privately connect your VPC to supported AWS services without needing an internet gateway, a NAT device, VPN, or a direct connection. Then the second option, which is VPC peering, enables you to connect one VPC into another VPC through a direct network route. It doesn't provide internet access to the instances in your VPC. And the last option, Amazon Private Link, it enables you to access services over a private connection, eliminating exposure to the public internet. It doesn't provide internet access to your instances. It's more for accessing AWS services privately. Which encryption types can be used to protect objects at rest in Amazon S3? You need to choose two options. And your options are server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed encryption keys, TLS, server-side encryption with AWS KMS managed keys, transparent data encryption, which is TDE, and then the final option is SSL. The encryption methods that you can use to protect objects at rest are server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed encryption keys and server-side encryption with AWS KMS managed keys. Now, with server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed encryption keys, Amazon S3 automatically manages the encryption keys for you. Each object is encrypted with a unique key, and as an additional safeguard, it encrypts the key itself with a master key that is regularly rotated. And the other option, which is server-side encryption with AWS KMS managed keys, the KMS, which is AWS KMS, is used to manage the encryption keys. With SSC KMS, again, you have additional control over encryption keys, including the ability to audit key uses. You can either use the default AWS KMS key or choose a customer managed key. Remaining options, SSL and TLS, are used for securing data in transit. Again, the key to answer this question is you need to protect objects at rest. If this question is changed to protect objects in transit, then your option becomes TLS and SSL. So again, finding the keywords is the reason you will be able to crack these exams in first attempts. Now, TDE is a feature that encrypts an entire database at the storage level. A company is moving an on-premise data center to the AWS cloud. The company must migrate 50 petabytes of file storage data to AWS with least possible operational overhead. Which AWS service or resources should the company use to meet these requirements? Your options being AWS Snowmobile, AWS Database Migration Service, AWS Data Exchange, AWS Snowball Edge. To migrate 50 petabytes of file storage data to AWS with least possible operational overhead. These are the keywords which I have just spoken. The most suitable option would be AWS Snowmobile. It is a service designed for exabyte scale data transfer. It is a secure and efficient way to move extremely large amounts of data to AWS cloud and is a rugged shipping container that is trucked to your on-premise data center. It has multiple storage devices capable of holding up to 100 petabytes of data. You load your data onto the Snowmobile and AWS takes care of securely transporting it to an AWS region. Once the Snowmobile arrives at the AWS region, the data is ingested into Amazon S3 or Amazon Glacier. So folks, the keyword here is 50 petabytes of data. As you would have heard, Snowmobile is capable of holding up to 100 petabytes of data. So if the question is probably changed to 110 petabytes of data, then the correct options will automatically change. Let's look at question number 297. A company wants to design a centralized storage system to manage the configuration data and passwords for its critical business applications. Which AWS service or capability will meet these requirements most cost effectively? Your options are Amazon S3, AWS Secrets Manager, AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store, AWS Config. AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store is a suitable option for managing configuration data, including parameters and secure strings in a centralized manner. It allows you to store key value pairs and secure strings, making it versatile for managing various types of configuration information. Now, folks, you might be tempted to choose AWS Secret Manager here, but AWS Secret Manager is designed explicitly for managing and protecting sensitive information such as database credentials, API keys, and passwords. While AWS Secrets Manager is a powerful service for secrets management, it may be considered more feature-rich and potentially more expensive than needed for simpler use cases involving only configuration data. If advanced features like automatic rotation of secrets are not required, AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store is a more cost-effective option. Which is what is the keyword in the question. You need to meet these requirements most cost-effectively. Question number 298. Which option is an AWS Cloud Adoption Framework Platform Perspective capability? Your options are data architecture, data governance, data science, data protection. Data protection is a sub-function of the platform perspective. It helps companies plan and implement the architecture of their cloud environment, including selecting the right cloud services, defining data models, and implementing data storage and processing. So folks, again, I have a link on the screen which you can refer to understand more about platform perspective. Also, if you browse through this white paper, you can understand more about AWS Cloud Adoption Framework as well. Let's look at next question. After selecting an Amazon EC2 dedicated host reservation, which pricing option would provide the largest discount? And your options are no upfront payment, hourly on-demand payment, partial upfront payment, all upfront payment. Making a full upfront payment for the entire reserved term in return gives the maximum discount on the hourly rates. Option D, all upfront payment, generally provides the largest discount over the term of the reservation. A company has refined its workload to use specific AWS services to improve efficiency and reduce cost. Which best practice for cost governance does this example show? Your options are tagging enforcement, cost allocation, architecture optimization, resource controls. The best practice for cost governance demonstrated in this example, where a company refines its workload to use specific AWS services to improve efficiency and reduce costs, is architectural optimization. Architecture optimization involves designing and structuring your cloud architecture in a way that maximizes efficiency, performance, and cost effectiveness. By choosing the right AWS services and configurations tailored to the workload requirements, the company is optimizing its architecture for both functionality and cost savings. Now, there is again a link on your screen. This is a link to an archived white paper from AWS. You can browse through this link to confirm the validity of the answer. This is question number 301 of the series. A bank needs to store recordings of calls made to its contact center for 6 years. The recordings must be accessible within 48 hours from the time they are requested. Which AWS service will provide a secure and cost-effective solution for retaining these files? And the option givens are Amazon S3 Glacier, Amazon Connect, Amazon Elastic Cache, Amazon DynamoDB. Main crust of this question is to store recordings cost effectively and being able to retrieve them within 48 hours. So you can rule out option B, as Amazon Connect is a cloud-based contact center service. Even though question has a mention of call recordings, but that's just there to complicate things for you. Option D, DynamoDB, is also incorrect as it is a NoSQL database service that is designed for fast and flexible storage and retrieval of data. It is more transactional and will incur higher costs, so won't be a cost-effective solution. Now, option C, Elastic Cache, is an in-memory data store service that is commonly used for caching purposes to improve the performance of web applications. This leaves us with option A, S3 Glacier, which is the correct answer, which is designed for long-term data archival and provides low-cost storage options. It allows you to store data for an extended period while keeping it accessible within a reasonable retrieval time ranging from few minutes to 48 hours, depending on the retrieval option being chosen. Which of the following is a benefit of decoupling an AWS cloud architecture? Your options are fewer components to manage, reduced latency, decreased costs, ability to upgrade components independently. Decoupling allows you to separate different components of your architecture, making it easier to upgrade or replace individual components without affecting the entire system. This can lead to increased flexibility, scalability, and maintainability of your AWS infrastructure. The other options may also be benefits in certain scenarios, but the ability to upgrade components independently is directly related to the concept of decoupling. Folks, this is question number 303 of the series. A company deployed an application of an Amazon EC2 instance. The application ran as expected for 6 months, but in the past week, users have reported latency issues. A system administrator found that CPU utilization was at 100% during business hours. The company wants a scalable solution to meet demand. Which AWS service or feature should the company use to handle the load for its application during periods of high demand? Your options are auto-scaling groups, an elastic IP address, Amazon Route 53, AWS Global Accelerator. The AWS service that the company should use to handle the load for its application during periods of high demand is auto-scaling groups, which automatically adjust the number of Amazon EC2 instances in response to changes in demand for your application. When the CPU utilization is high, as in this case, auto-scaling can automatically launch additional EC2 instances to distribute the load and handle increased demand. Conversely, during periods of low demand, it can scale down the number of instances to save costs. So folks, this is just the definition of what auto-scaling groups do. So it's very important that you know the core concepts of AWS to succeed in AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification exam. Next question. Which information is found on an AWS Identity and Access Management Credential Report? You need to choose two options here. And the options are the type of multi-factor authentication device assigned to an IAM user, whether multi-factor authentication has been enabled for an IAM user, the number of incorrect login attempts by each IAM user in the previous 30 days, the date and time when an IAM user's password was last used to sign into AWS Management Console, the user agent browser identifier for each IAM user currently logged in. The IAM credential report provides details about the IAM users in an AWS account, including their access keys, passwords, MFA devices, and various other security-related information. However, the report does not include information such as type of MFA device assigned to an IAM user, the number of incorrect login attempts, or the user agent browser identifier for each logged in user. So folks, I hope you now understand why option B and option D have been chosen as the correct choice here. If you still have any doubts, please don't forget to post them in the comment section as always. Question number 305. Which of the following are 6 pillars of the AWS Well-Architected Framework? So folks, before we go into the options, I would like to remind you that earlier there were 5 pillars of the AWS Well-Architected Frameworks, but now AWS has updated it to 6 pillars. So wherever, if you see such type of questions and it is talking about 5 pillars, then the questions are out of date. So let's look at the options. Your first option is encryption, documentation, speed, reliability, hybrid design, and cost optimization. Second option is operational excellence, reliability, performance efficiency, security, sustainability, and cost optimization. And the third option is containerization, cost margins, globalization, marketplace, encryption, and developer options. And the fourth option is network, compute, storage, hybrid design, security, and developer options. And the correct choice here is option B, operational excellence, reliability, performance efficiency, security, sustainability, and cost optimization. The sixth newly added pillar is sustainability. If you are interested in reading more about it, then there is a link on your screen at the moment. Browse through the link and read more about these 6 pillars of the AWS Well-Architected Framework. So folks, before we move forward, before we look at the next question, if you are someone who is looking for some guidance to embark on the journey of DevOps and cloud computing, consider joining my YouTube channel's Diamond membership. You will gain access to exclusive sessions with a seasoned DevOps engineer boasting nearly 12 years of industry experience. Also, if you are looking to get access to PDFs for offline study, then you can get them as well with other membership tiers. So don't forget to explore them. This is question number 306. Which AWS service is designed to help users build conversational interfaces into applications using voice and text? Your options are Amazon Transcribe, Amazon Comprehend, Amazon Lex, Amazon TimeStream. Correct answer here is option C, Amazon Lex, which is a service for building conversational interfaces into applications using voice and text. It provides the advanced deep learning functionality of automatic speech recognition for converting speech to text and natural language understanding to recognize the intent of the text. It is a service behind Amazon Alexa, allowing developers to build applications with natural language understanding. So folks, if you have Amazon Alexa at your home, now you know what is the service behind it. Amazon Lex is the service which is behind Amazon Alexa. Next question. A company provides a web-based e-commerce service that runs into availability zones within a single AWS region. The web service distributes content that is stored in the Amazon S3 standard storage class. Pay attention, it is a standard storage class. The company wants to improve the web service performance globally. What should the company do to meet this requirement? Your options are change the S3 storage class to S3 intelligent tiering, migrate the website servers to Amazon EC2 with enhanced networking, deploy an Amazon CloudFront distribution to cache web server content in edge locations, use Amazon API gateway for the web service. Whenever the goal is to reduce latency and improve the global performance of a web service, deploying Amazon CloudFront is the appropriate choice. CloudFront caches content at edge locations worldwide, ensuring that users can access the web content from a location closer to them, thereby reducing latency and improving overall performance. Which scenario represents the concept of elasticity on AWS? You need to choose two options here, folks. And the options are having the ability to create and govern environments using code, scaling the number of Amazon EC2 instances based on traffic, using AWS compliance documents to accelerate the compliance process, resizing Amazon RDS instances as business needs change, automatically directing traffic to less utilized Amazon EC2 instances. Whenever there is a talk about elasticity, then you need to look for options that talk about scale in and scale out. So the two correct choices here are option B, scaling the number of Amazon EC2 instances based on traffic, and option D, resizing Amazon RDS instances as businesses needs change. Now, option A, having the ability to create and govern environment using code, is more related to infrastructure as a code. And option C is more aligned towards compliance. And option E is related to load balancing, which focuses on dynamically adjusting resources based on demand. So folks, now I hope you know why option A, C, and E are incorrect in this scenario. Company encourages its teams to test failure scenarios regularly and to validate their understanding of the impact of potential failures. Which pillar of the AWS Well-Architected Framework does this philosophy represent? Your options are cost optimization, performance efficiency, security, operational excellence. The philosophy of encouraging teams to test failure scenarios regularly and validating their understanding of the impact of potential failure aligns with operational excellence pillar of the AWS Well-Architected Framework works. Operational excellence focuses on the ability to run and monitor systems to deliver business value and to continually improve supporting processes and procedures. Regularly testing failure scenarios, understanding the impact of failures, and implementing mechanisms for improvement are key aspects of operational excellence. It involves being prepared for and responsive to events, learning from operational failures, and iterating on processes to improve over time. Question number 310 of the series. A company wants to optimize long-term compute costs of AWS Lambda functions and Amazon EC2 instances. Which AWS purchasing option should the company choose to meet these requirements? Your options being spot instances, dedicated hosts, compute savings plan, and reserved instances. Compute savings plan provide flexibility by offering savings on compute usage across multiple services, including EC2 instances, AWS Lambda, and Fargate. So folks, if this question was talking about AWS Fargate in addition to AWS Lambda and Amazon EC2 instances, then also the answer would have been compute savings plan. Folks, this is question number 311. Which of the following are general AWS cloud design principles described in the AWS Well-Architected Framework? You need to choose two options here. Your options are provision more capacity that a workload is expected to need, make AWS cloud architectural decisions static one-time events, drive architecture design based on data collected about the workload behavior and requirements, test systems at production scale, consolidate key components into monolithic architecture. Let's talk about first option, which talks about provisioning more capacity than actually needed, which is obviously incorrect as that would lead to over provisioning. Now the second option, AWS cloud architectural decision static, is again incorrect as you should follow the principle of continuous improvement and architecture should evolve over time. So again, this is incorrect. Now the third option, drive architecture design data on data collected about the workload behavior and requirements, is correct as it emphasizes on the importance of making informed decisions. This data-driven approach helps ensure that your architecture aligns with the actual needs of the application. Fourth option, test systems at production scale, is also correct as it encourages testing systems at the expected production scale to identify potential issues and performance bottlenecks before they impact users. It ensures that your architecture can handle the anticipated workload and provides a reliable and performant experience for users. Last option regarding monolithic architecture is obviously incorrect, and modern architectures focus on moving away from monolithic architecture towards more modular and scalable designs. A company wants its Amazon EC2 instances to share the same geographic area but use redundant underlying power sources. Which solution will meet these requirements? Use EC2 instances in AWS OpsWorks stacks in different AWS regions. Use Amazon CloudFront as the database for the EC2 instances. Use EC2 instances across multiple availability zones in the same AWS region. Use EC2 instances in the same edge location and the same availability zones are the options given. Now, by deploying EC2 instances across multiple availability zones in the same AWS region, you achieve geographic redundancy while ensuring that each availability zone has independent power sources. This setup provides high availability and fault tolerance because if one availability zone experiences any issue, the workload can continue running in another. A company wants to move its iOS application development and build activities to AWS. Which AWS service or resource should the company use for these activities? Your options are AWS App Runner, AWS Amplify, AWS Code Commit, Amazon EC2 M1 Mac instances? The correct answer here is AWS Amplify, which is a set of purpose-built tools and features that enables front-end web and mobile developers to quickly and easily build full-stack applications on AWS. Question number 314, folks. A company wants to run a NoSQL database on Amazon EC2 instances. Which task is the responsibility of AWS in this scenario? Your options are configure the security group firewall, update the guest operating system of the EC2 instances, maintain high availability at the database layer, patch the physical infrastructure that hosts the EC2 instances. So folks, before we look at this answer, I would like to remind you that if you are gaining something out of this video, then do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe the channel. And share the video with your fellow associates who are also preparing for the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner examination. This channel also has content apart from these certification questions, so don't forget to explore the content as well. Now let's look at the answer. You don't have access to physical infrastructure in AWS, so it will be the responsibility of the AWS to manage it. So the correct answer is option D, patch the physical infrastructure that hosts the EC2 instances. Question number 315. Which of the following is a benefit that AWS Professional Services provides? Your options are advisory solutions for AWS adoption, technical support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, management of the ongoing security of user data, monitoring of monthly billing costs in AWS accounts. AWS Professional Services offers consulting and advisory solutions to help organizations plan, design, and implement AWS solutions. This includes assistance with AWS adoption strategies, architectural design, best practices, and guidance on how to effectively leverage AWS services to achieve business goals. Folks, this is all I wanted to cover in this part of the series. If you have any feedback related to the videos that I have been bringing forward, then do not forget to post the feedback in the comment section and I'll try to work upon the feedback being provided.